What is going on, y'all? I'm KMBest. Welcome back to 8 Cubes. Lamby is out. We have HuskyPuppies who is in, which means it's time for an in-depth breakdown of a bunch of stuff. The 8 most important topics in Marvel Snap. And weirdly, we're not starting with the card in Series 5 this week. We're starting with the card coming out in Grand Arena, Mother Askani. Perhaps the most hyped card this season, the second most hyped card this season. Mother Askani is a 4/4 with an on reveal that copies the leftmost card in your hand, but not before making it cost 1 less and gain 2 power. So it applies the buff and then gives you a copy of the buffed card. There are obvious V-hand applications to this, but frankly, there might be even more things you can do with a card like this that are particularly powerful. I've even seen people speculating playing Mother Askani in a sort of Star-Lord-esque role where you are like grandmastering it to hit that card again. So you get a second Mother Askani hit on the same card. Pretty compelling stuff there. What are you thinking of with Mother Askani? And I'm going to give you one way to make this question harder. Okay. Hard version, don't talk about V-Hand and Gambit.
Weirdly enough, okay. This card has a lot of interesting synergies. The one that comes to mind, because I've been so Aurora-pilled lately, is going to be Captain Carter.
Okay.
Just anything that can get triple the buff is going to be pretty darn solid. It's a little bit slow, and I don't think this card is going to take off like some people think on release immediately. I think like having certain cards stuck in the left side of your hand is going to make this card feel a little bit worse for about 4 days. After that, the people start finding their stride with this. I think they can really find some cool sort of decks, some things that really have some good hits and could cycle away the bad ones from that left side of the hand. Yeah, V-Hand is the obvious one, but anything that really wants a buff, I'm excited for too.
So I think one of the things that sticks out with this card to me is which side are you building for? And usually the answer is going to be both, but I am a little concerned that this card kind of gets a little hurt. And by a little hurt, I mean a lot hurt by the existence of, say, Mobius, right? Like a lot of the premise of this card is that if it was just a buff I was looking for, I wouldn't be doing this. If it was just a buff in a copy, I still wouldn't be doing this. It's the additional free energy that this card is giving you effectively on both of the cards that allows it to be such a bad tempo play and still be a card that I'm interested in. And I kind of worry that like if you start taking that aspect away, this is a much less scary card. Like I'm compelled by what it's doing, but at the same time, I am also aware that this is the kind of thing that is going to be extremely sensitive to that cost because you are just playing a 4/4.
Very fair, but Mobius, I think, has a little bit of a problem against Askani, which is, okay, you can play Mobius on 3, and then I just don't play my card that gets countered by Mobius. I could just do other things. It's not the only win condition in my deck. If they play it on 4, that's a prediction, and then they just spent their entire turn 4 playing a 3/3 that can do nothing. If they play it on 5, that's just incredibly awkward. It's like, yeah, Mobius hurts it, but it doesn't kill it. Sure. And even like Mobius is a 3/3 to counter a 4/4 that still has some upside. I don't think Mobius is going to be too hard of a counter.
Moving on from a card that may not be countered by a 3-cost tech card to a card that definitely is countered by a 3-cost tech card. Polaris, Horseman of Pestilence, is a card that half of me loves. This is exactly what an Afflict deck needs. I don't know if people know this about me. I like the Afflict deck. I think it's good. I've enjoyed... Anti-Venom is one of my favorite cards they have ever made. I love playing that card. Afflict deck needs 2s. It needs 2s. It needs 2s that cheat energy. It needs this. And there are just too many structural obstacles in the way of this card. First of all, what is the card? Polaris, 2/2, objective. Something on the board, on your opponent's side of the board, has been afflicted with -5. Or at least -5. You're making a face.
I think it's a total of -5 among cards. I don't think it has to be one thing.
Sorry, it is a total of -5 among cards. A bunch of things being afflicted, -1 will work. For a second, I thought the face you were making was that it would work on your own cards, and I was like, I don't think
I was really hoping. It's like, it would be such a cooler card. My God, I would love that.
Yeah, I don't think so. But yeah, either a -5 on one thing a la Celine, or a minus a bunch of stuff on a bunch of things up to 5, presumably, and it will work, and it just pulls a card from your hand. It's just like, here is a card to whatever that card is. That is the kind of thing that it plays well with what this deck wants to do. That fits super well into a world where I have cards left in my hand, like a man thing that I couldn't play because I played an Anti-Venom instead, and then I played an Ajax on 5, and then my final turn was Anti-Venom, Luke Cage, Hazmat. That's how the deck plays, right? It needs the thing that's going to like pull that man thing out. You often have these like 4s that are sitting in your hand at the end of the game. It needs exactly this. I don't know that this deck can function well enough in order to make that happen. And Polaris is cool, but the archetype as a whole largely existed in a sort of I beat interactive mid-range decks stuff. And in a world where it doesn't have interactive pieces for your opponent, where your opponent is playing whatever combo thing they're doing, you get ceilinged to death, basically. And that's my big concern with Polaris. Like, I talked about it like it's Luke Cage. It's really just the deck. The deck doesn't seem to fit very well.
Yeah, I would go further than that and say it's not the deck, it's just the other things in the current meta. Like, Afflict is not going to hold a candle to Shao or Fing Fang Foom or Star-Lord. Let's be honest. This is a very good card in an archetype that could use the help. I just don't think this will be enough. My one reservation for this card outside of this is its anti-synergy with my favorite card, not Anti-Venom, but Malekith.
Yes.
In Afflict decks, because you really need that Hazmat.
Yep.
That Hazmat gives you the win condition for pretty much everything you're doing. But just because of how the timing windows work, you are no longer allowed to get that free draw and play. Because, hey, if I hit Hazmat, well, then, you know, new Polaris doesn't see the affliction happen in time. But if I hit the new Polaris, you know, it reveals at the end of game, which is after the trigger for objectives. So it's like, okay, I've got to cut the card that gets me closer to the most important card in my deck. And that hurts, man. This is a very good effect.
I've got very good pitch. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, half of this makes sense and the other half doesn't.
Yeah, all right, let's hear it.
What if we just slap like a small Afflict package into a Supergiant deck? Supergiant is good at beating the things that are good at beating Afflict, right? Like, it is good at beating everything you just named. Like, that's what it's good at doing. But the problem you run into, I think, there is it's not a good prio package. Right? Like, Ajax is a great 5. Ajax Hazmat is way more points than whatever you're doing with Ronin. It's really good. But you have Hazmat, you have Diamondback, and the cards that are actually good at prio are all 4s. So, like, your good stats guys are 4s, and you don't actually get to play, like, you know, Iron Patriot into a 3/8. Diamondback might be a 3/11, but only later. And so you just end up with a thing where it's like, I think this would probably work, but it would be the 5th best Supergiant deck. And you're just like, I don't know if that's worth it. And Polaris herself, 2/2. I don't know.
My main problem with that is just, if you Supergiant, you're giving your opponent a way to dodge your affliction. It's like, I really like it. It does provide a counter, but it's hard to compete with the Ronin stuff.
Yeah. Next up, Angel or Archangel, Horseman of Death review. He's not very good. I have done plenty of winning with Archangel decks. He has not been a meaningful contributor to them. And a lot of it is that, like, in a world where I gave half of a crap about a 2/7, he'd be pretty okay. You know, like in that world, I'd be like, yeah, okay, you know, I'll play him in my Misery Death deck, which I did. And he was fine, because that's a deck that cares about a 2/7. But we're not in a metagame that cares about a 2/7. We're not in a metagame that cares about, especially conditional one. Like, it's he's basically just like Juggernaut, Horseman of War, but you can only play him in a destroy deck. And it's like, okay, that's mostly what this card is. That is like the majority of what this card is doing. So what he is, like zoom out far enough, this is worse Juggernaut, Horseman of War.
This card's just bad, man. It's like, Destroy has never been a particularly good archetype. And it's like, whoa, mediocre card going in a bad archetype. It's like, you can't revive and double up on cards that don't, like Deadpool, Wolverine, anything actually interesting.
Yep.
It's like, okay, cool. You've given me a card that is so much work for so little payoff in a meta where I could do 80 billion other things for so much more. Why was this card printed? Why do people buy this card? Because people like Destroy. And that's fine. Don't buy this card.
It's a little like a Kraglin to me. Where like you look at Kraglin, and the premise of Kraglin is like, are you going to seriously sit here and tell me that 3/3 gain 2 energy is bad? And then clearly they think it is, right? Like clearly you make Kraglin because you think that card is too good. You're like, okay, you can't tell me 3/3 gain 2 energy is bad. That's not bad. What are we talking about here? But it is. It is bad. It is actually bad. And this is another one where it's like, are you going to sit here and tell me that a 2/7 is bad? Yes, I am. I am going to tell you that. Like, let this card work with Deadpool for the love of God. Figure out a way to let me get this buff on a card I actually care about, like Deadpool or Wolverine or Headpool or any of those things. Like that is the biggest and most frustrating thing about this card for me is I want to get +4 power on a Deadpool really badly. And I can never do that with this card. Yeah. And it's like, please just let me. I know it's hard. I know you probably, if you tried to code it in there, you would make my Deadpool turn into a Spider Ham and not work. I get it. But like, please.
You also can't target it. It sucks.
Like, what if it brought back a copy of something that had died? That way it'll work with Deadpool.
That would be cool. Yeah, that would be cool.
You get a 5 Deadpool or something. Like, do something.
Yeah.
OTA reactions, and really, this is the, they didn't nerf Xiaolao. How you feeling, buddy?
Oh, they should have nerfed, like, 3 cards that they didn't, and those are Xiao, Fing Fang Boom, and probably Star-Lord again. I hate him.
I've seen a lot of, like, we'll get into this probably a little bit more later.
Your stream where you abuse that card, KM.
I like how the deck plays, but, like, I like how a lot of decks play.
You like how it plays because it wins!
No, I like how it plays because I can AFK half the game. I'm a big fan of that. Like, I really like, like, if I'm honest, what I actually like about Star-Lord, the deck, is just like Zola stuff. I just like doing that.
It's combo. It's cool.
It's fun. Like, not the Star-Lord games, but the games where you're like doing something way worse with the Arnim Zola. I like those games. They're fun.
Yeah, it's cute, but it's like it's way too good.
Yeah,
still.
I don't think it is. I'll push back on this because this is the OTA React segment. I think Star-Lord's a little bit iffy. And like, I really like the deck, but like, I don't know how much of it you've played. As someone who's played a pretty colossal amount of this deck, it kind of sucks. Like, it's not, it's really like, it is really touch and go there against a lot of stuff. Like, have you ever had your Star-Lord Shang-Chi'd? Because, buddy,
I've Shang-Chi'd a lot.
It is so bad.
It's very funny.
It is horrendous. Like,
I someone end with 0 power on the board. It was beautiful. I Shang grandmastered them. It healed my soul that day. Okay, maybe you got a point.
It's really bad. Like have you just you play against the Super Giant deck and you're like, I wasn't happy with this matchup before the deck got nerfed, and now I'm just way less happy with the matchup. Like,
I'm happy that it's causing you pain. I hate that card.
There's some stuff where it's like, I think Star-Lord's biggest role in the metagame, as it were, is to just sort of like sit on top of other combo decks and just Eliath them to death. Like, the only reason that it's doing what it's doing is because every other combo deck gets Eliath to death by Star-Lord. And so it's the only combo deck that people can actually play. And so they just place all of their emotions onto like about combo decks onto Star-Lord because it's the only one. But we're going to talk about this in a little bit. I'm not convinced that's permanent state of affairs. I think that things are going in a certain direction that makes me feel a lot less confident in Star-Lord than something like in Sholau. In Sholau, I've got really no idea what I'm supposed to do if I want to play like a Sholau kind of deck without Sholau in it. Like, I want to play some mid-range points combo stuff. I don't know.
You lose.
Yeah, you, like,
that's what you do.
I got nothing for that. But if I'm like a combo deck and I want to beat Star-Lord, there are a couple ways to do that. Like, you can do that. And it's like, he seems a lot less secure in his seat to me. But really, I just wanted to talk about Sholau. Like, it seems pretty clear that Sholau is actually like a really hard deck to play. At this point, I think it's sort of entered.
Is it really?
It has to be. Otherwise, they'd be nerfing it. Like, it just genuinely has to be, right? Like, especially when you look at the Activate Sholau deck. That is a deck that is asking so much from you in terms of...
Is it?
Yes, because if you just play it, you get CGR'd, but if you play it smart and actually use your activates before the final turn of the game, you're still fine. And like, that is like so much of this is like, there are too many buttons in the game for people to play Activate Sholau well.
It's surely not that hard.
I promise you, the only place people are using their activates properly and not just creating a Voltron is High Infinite. I promise you.
Why? Yeah. Anything else from the OTA? We're still technically on this copy.
No, just like
Bucky Barnes got to a 2/2.
Actually, I've got a challenge for you on the Bucky Barnes thing. Can you name one point of power that is less meaningful than Bucky Barnes going for? And don't cheat and be like Morph. Don't be like Morph or whatever.
That actually happened?
No, just like that you could do. Name one less meaningful point of power than Bucky Barnes 2/1 to 2/2. Because I don't know if I can think of one.
You might get me there.
Yeah.
Put it in the comments if you can think of a less meaningful one. But I mean, you can sometimes get Prio so you don't get Cosmo or armor.
Yeah, no, I think the only one I could really come up with is like, what if they gave Infinite 1 point of power? And be like, that's pretty meaningless. Like, that's a pretty meaningless change. It would not change anything about what I'm doing with that.
It's on the board at the end, though.
Yeah, but it's like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like just mathematically adding 1 point of power to the card with 20. Gotta be the most meaningless you can do, right? But it doesn't feel like it feels like that would be a little more meaningful.
Honestly, I would say like +1 to Zola, but then that's
meaningful. Like that's real.
Oh, that breaks negative.
Like it's unfortunately quite meaningful. Like there's not a lot there. So sort of on the topic that got broached in that conversation, like agency is pretty clearly a big factor in how they balance, not because of anything they're doing on purpose, but because the easier a deck is to pilot, the more likely it's going to show up where the bulk of the population is. And that we've seen this a million different times in like both directions. Like I don't even know if this is a theory anymore. It just happens so many times. Move Bounce takes forever to get nerfed. Loki takes forever to get nerfed. Sholau takes forever to get nerfed. Doom 2099 crushed immediately. Chamber and Moondragon crushed immediately. Surtur crushed immediately to an unrecognizable state. Like there are some very clear things here in terms of signals as to like what a hard deck actually is and what an easy deck actually is. And the through line that I've been able to find is basically the more choices you have to make, the more likely you are to mess them up. And so I think people look at like intricate combo decks and they think those are the hard decks, right? Not necessarily. Zombie Galacti's a pretty easy deck to play, actually. There's really not a lot going on there. Like you can just do things and kind of muddle your way through, and
you play the card, don't get caught.
Probably get there, right? Like some decks are quite difficult, and of course, I will say this: playing any Marvel Snap deck, even the easy ones at a high level, is a difficult ask because of all of the attendant skills built into it. It just is. That said, there are some decks that are gonna perform better for you. And I think that agency, the biggest tip I have for getting better at a game, and I'm serious when I say this, remove as many decisions as you can from your own hands, and then focus on getting the ones that you have on the board as right as you can. And once you are doing that and thinking about things in that way, then you start expanding. But the best thing you can do is to make your opponent react to you more, to make them have to think about you, to make them have to respect you. Don't put yourself in situations where you need to know how specific interactions work to win a matchup. Don't do that. Put yourself in situations where they need to know how specific interactions work to beat you. They're probably not going to know that. Like that, this discussion of agency, right? Like you look at the Activate Sholau list. It is a hard deck to play. And not in the way that like a Batroc list is hard to play, because fundamentally, that's actually like a deck that I think a lot easier to play than you get credit for, because it's just doing a lot of points. Like I'm doing things and they're all pretty obvious. But like the Activate Sholau list, activating your cards before they scam you, knowing what matchups you need to build a Voltron in, and what matchups you're safe to build a Voltron in, and what matchups you can't build a Voltron in, knowing when you need to be a Maverick deck or a Scarlet Spider deck. And I see so many people play the deck and they just autopilot all of this. They do the Jocasta Voltron every time, even if their opponent is playing Doom 2099, which means there's a Ghost Rider in there. You can't do that. And they do, I'm going to autopilot straight into, I'm using my Maverick on 4, and then on 5, I'm going to put that Maverick buff into a Spider. And then my opponent plays Stardust, and my whole plan doesn't work. And it's just like this, like, there's so much in that deck that requires you to actively engage with the game that I think that, like, if there is a thing preventing that deck from getting nerfed, it's that it's actually just not being done across the wider population of Marvel Snap.
Yeah, I mean, well said. That's pretty much it. Yeah, harder decks to play are going to impact less people. It's less of a problem for the company who's trying to cater their game to more people, that only a few people are having an issue with that. Yeah, that makes sense. People can play things wrong. I'm actually going to push back slightly on the best advice to get better. What I have recommended to people before is take a season or like a week and just literally never retreat, and just see, okay, your rank resets at the end of the season. Your knowledge does not, especially if you're post infinite. Like take the time and say, yeah, I'm probably leaving here, but like learn the points outputs of certain decks, learn what certain snaps mean. Like, hey, why are they snapping on me when I played my Scarlet Spider? Oh, it's going to be a Stardust. Learn the patterns, and it's like, if you just retreat there, you don't know what you lose to. And it might be the thing you're thinking, but it might not be. If you really want to get better, that's what I'd recommend. Or, going and hanging out in places with top players, like our streams. Whoa!
Ridiculous advice. No. What I'll say about that is this. There's a sort of limit to that. Like your rank resets, but your MMR doesn't. And if you tank yourself badly, that is actually a risk. Like that you'll have, like you can get out of the hole, but like don't try to dig yourself too big of a hole.
Okay, yeah, don't dig too deep, but like, yeah, like don't not play anything. Play to win.
Yes. But no, like, I do think largely the core of the advice. Learn what your opponents are doing and why they're doing it.
Yes.
Great advice. The specifics of like lose a bunch of cubes, maybe a little bit worse.
If you don't care too much.
So I talked a little bit about like why I feel Star-Lord is losing ground as like, I'm the king of combo decks, because a lot of Star-Lord being the king of combo decks is predicated on just like Alioth spam, for lack of a better word. Like that's the reason it is. So it's really good against a lot of combo decks that are doing some pretty specific things. One, not having priority in the face of a Star-Lord Alioth. You're not going to have priority in the face of a Star-Lord Alioth. You're going to lose to, a Star-Lord Zola. You're going to lose to the Alioth spam, right? So number two is, we'll get to number two in a second, actually. And the reason I bring up number one is because they changed Spider. Penny Parker's generated Spider. So now if you play like Iron Fist and Spider a multiple man, the copy of Multiple Man will also be able to move. This also, I think, applies to like Sinister London, things like that. The copies that you make there are going to be able to move. I think it may apply to copied Phoenix Forces, but they might have fixed that one a while ago. I'm not entirely sure. The same thing is now happening to Spider, as happened to Phoenix Force a while back. And A, that's really good. You are a huge fan of that. But B, what it's enabled is several decks that are going to have priority and have their combo be on board, but not be vulnerable to Cosmic Ghost Rider in the same way. So they get to like look at Star-Lord and say, all right, man, you're not going to Goliath me because all my combos on board anyway. My final turn is just moving all these guys around. Who cares? I'm fine. Like, I have more points than you. Good luck. And then you get to just be the gamer with Goliath, right? Like the Jet deck is playing Goliath. The KM Worst deck is Iska Juggernaut, right? And it's like, either one of those, you're fine with it, right? You can do whatever. And so this allows those decks to attack Star-Lord on that axis, where like, I don't know what's better at doing Doom 2099's shtick of good points and interactive fives than Doom 2099 is. Ramp has the same shtick. Doom 2099 is better at it. Like, I don't know what's better at doing Shoulau's like semi-combo mid-range shtick than Shoulao is. I don't think anything is. But I think Star-Lord's I'm the biggest combo deck shtick is super dependent on this. And I've been kind of wondering if you see any light here, or other decks that you think might be able to deal with Star-Lord from a combo facet, because everything else in the metagame will lose to a bigger combo deck. Like, Doom 2099 ain't doing anything. So if you dodge CGR, and if you dodge the Star-Lord stuff, kind of beat everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's you say it like it's simple. It's not a simple ask.
Yes.
It's because even with the Spider Multiple Man combo, I played that a lot before it's before this change. Like, Stardust still kills you, and Stardust is not it's not like everywhere, but it's there, and it instantly kills you, and they know if they have Stardust better than you know if they have Stardust. So it's I can't really think of anything that's too combo heavy that's really going to tick all those boxes at the moment, other than the Multiple Man thing. That's not saying that there isn't something. It's just that I don't know it. There very well could be something, especially with the new card coming out, that's, kind of facilitates maybe some combos, copy 2 cards, give power, maybe something to generate with that. I think that's definitely something to look out for. I don't think that's a weakness we can currently exploit, but with that new release, I think that is something huge on the horizon.
Yeah, I do think that like Star-Lord is in such a precarious position for a deck so many people respect so much. Like, all that it would take is one combo deck figuring out the matchup, and suddenly he's just like DOA. All that it would take is enough people deciding to put Cosmo back in their mid-range decks, and suddenly he's DOA. He is really precariously positioned right now, where a lot of other stuff may not necessarily be. I'll tell you a deck that might be precariously positioned into Mother Askani, though, specifically. If Doom 2099 gets outpowered by the average Mother Askani draw, it doesn't really have a lot of answers for that. Like, I don't know that you can play a Mobius in there. Maybe you can. There's an open 3. Like, maybe you put the Mobius in there and you go Mobius, Sandman, and you're just fine. And that's just like a fine thing for you to do. Even though that has no real upside for you, you're playing a 6-on-6 anyway, whatever. But that is something that has occurred to me, is like, if there is another combo deck, it might not be as weak to specifically Cosmic Ghost Rider as Star-Lord is. That's not a guarantee. And Doom 2099's viability is to some degree predicated on the fact that Star-Lord gets hosed by that. So this is kind of your wheelhouse here. The other thing I've seen people do to beat Star-Lord is turn 5 magics. So where are you on magic decks generally?
I think they are... A lot of people just still have the feeling of, oh, let's just turn off the magic and therefore magic bad. I think that is sort of an yeah. It's like I think if you can find a deck that is good enough without magic, and then in the matchups where, hey, my opponent isn't running location change, can go with the magic, it's very strong. I think magic as a sometimes tool, a matchup dependent thing to, okay, their power sort of caps out at 6. If I can extend and just go more, go further, because most decks are made to go 6 turns, and a lot of decks, like, this is kind of the, like, I think if a deck is going to find that niche where it's like, oh, it's beating Starlord as a combo tool, it's gonna have magic. I don't know how easy it's going to be to play, because magic as a sometimes tool means you can play it and be wrong. And being wrong with magic sucks. You lose double what you are expecting to, and it really, really feels bad. I think it takes a lot of knowledge and a lot of grit to go, all right, I'm just going to get, turned off by the deck that shouldn't be running location change, or the Nico location change sometimes, and just eat it anyway. And I don't think it's going to be everywhere, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be strong.
It's one of those things where, the saying in politics is like, no one's ever gone broke underestimating the intelligence of the average American, right? Like, this is sort of how I kind of feel about this stuff, where it's like, every time I'm like, I know how to beat Star-Lord, and I'm doing it, right? Like, I'm beating Star-Lord or whatever, right? Like, and I, like, every time I play it, I'm like, this is the easiest matchup in the world. And then I talk about how easy Star-Lord is to beat every time I'm just wrong. Like, every time they're like, I'm wrong, and they nerf the card in 2 weeks. Like, every time, because all of the ways to beat Star-Lord are these sort of very high agency, very high metagame awareness stuff. And I'm not even saying like indexing for skill or whatever. What we're really indexing for is awareness. You're indexing for the knowledge of when to use your tools, because Star-Lord stuff is, beating it is so much about that knowledge. Like, you see Magic beats Star-Lord. Well, not if you don't play Magic on 5. Magic beats Star-Lord because they do their combo to go to turn 6, and you make Star-Lord not matter. That's why Magic beats Star-Lord. But if you just watch this and you're like, Cam said Magic beats Star-Lord, you play Magic on 3, they play Star-Lord, they do the Star-Lord Zola thing on 6, you lose anyway. Yeah. And you're like, what the hell is Cam talking about, right? Like, that, every solution to Star-Lord is play pattern based in a way that not a lot of other cards are like, this is the play pattern based solution to this. Most of the time when you're like, this counters this, it just does, right? Like, Shang-Chi beats a thing, or Alioth beats a Shang-Chi, or all of that stuff. It just happens. There's no, oh, you have to do it this time. No one is like, oh yeah, I'm going to play the Shang-Chi when there's no targets. No one does that, right? But you do things like mess up Supergiant stuff or mess up Magic stuff. And like, that's the stuff. That's kind of sort of the secret to Star-Lord, is that he's just like, probably harder to play against because of how play pattern intensive at beating him is.
No, yeah. I mean, just multiple points to mess up. It's like, if you think of your average Joe Destroy player playing against it, they're just going to have a so much worse time than we are.
Like, it's a really interesting case study, I think, where every time I've been like, I'm beating up on Star-Lord, everything's fine, he doesn't need to get nerfed, I'm just dead wrong.
He has counters for us. I still want him a peg down, because like, I want to play my Afflict deck. I don't want to get
not why you can't play Afflict, dude.
I know, but he's the thing currently beating me, so I'm going to yell at him.
Right.
Old man yells at son.
All right, y'all know what time it is. Husky Soapbox. Hit us, brother.
Okay. So I think the Crimson Cosmos change was the worst change they could have possibly made, in like the smallest possible way ever. Okay, so being able to play 0 costs on Crimson Cosmos is such a cool thing. Yeah, you may not have too many powerful 4-drops, but if you have like a She-Hulk, if you have like little cool things that you can sneak in there, okay, I can reduce this cost, I can play smart, I can put some 0 costs in there, because it doesn't get to 0 cost every time, but it's a lot more than you think, and then suddenly it's only 4, 5, and 6s? Oh, why? Stop making the location like, okay, yeah, it's a loophole in the for anyone who's played Dungeons and Dragons, this is like a loophole. This is the boss's weakness. This is like the telegraphed attack. Having that is good. Letting people find that out and use, I can play my 0 cost there, and if I do this to reduce it to 0, I can get it in there, and I can win that lane, and it feels cool. The players feel smart, and now it's just it just feels so much less interesting, and I hate it.
I'll back this one up. They should make Crimson Cosmos rarer. I think that Crimson Cosmos is the kind of design that they have phased out largely, and I'll tell you why. It is so much more interesting to give an advantage to decks that are playing big cards by giving those cards an advantage. It is so much more interesting to have like a deck that is like, okay, when you play a 4-cost card here, double its power. That's similarly impactful in terms of whether or not this is a reasonable location that favors certain types of decks over the others. But it doesn't say you literally can't play here. And I think like that's the thing that gets me about it is like, there are a lot of decks that kind of cap out at 4. And it's, a disadvantage if you get your opponent's 5-cost to 6-cost cards power get doubled here. You probably lose that game, but it's a game you can play. And a Crimson Cosmos, it's not a game you can play a lot of the time.
Yeah, it's just like it feels like kicking small decks while they're down to me. It's like they had this sneaky little way to get into there, and it was like, oh, it's cool. I'm gonna say the big house didn't feel the same.
That's because every deck plays small cards.
Yeah, every deck plays small cards. Not every deck plays big cards. It just like, why'd you do this, man? We had a good thing going. Like, now you gone and ruin it. Oh, my God.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks, as always, to guest co-host HuskyPuppies, who you can find
on twitch.tv/HuskyPuppies35. That's it. No other links. Best of luck. I'm live most days. Drop me a follow. It's always a fun time. We do lots of challenge streams there. You've been
doing a lot of those recently. Yeah. You're like, I need to feel something again, so I'm gonna play a Marvel Snap Nuzlocke.
Oh yeah, well, it's more of like, I don't like it flat out. I would rather just be going brain off, but I think it's better content. I think it's more interesting, and I think it gets the viewers engaged more to see me suffer and be like, it stretched to those muscles of like, okay, we can influence the creativity. It hurts.
Go torture Husky. go do that.